Okay, so going over rec bars a little bit before we start, just as a reminder that purple is the beginner color, whether that's junior beginner or regular beginner, 1 and 2, and then intermediate is always blue, and orange will always be advanced. Advanced sometimes has not as many stations because either A, their stations are a little bit more difficult, and B, there is not nearly as many of them. And they do tend to be a bit older and understand things a little bit more, so they are able to rotate and get things done with their coach a little bit easier. So if there is one less station on things and you are confused, just know that whatever you're coaching, it is right, and that you're not crazy and that there's not anything extra or things like that. So we're doing a lot of basic movement things rather than difficult stations to begin with. There is a bit of equipment to set up, but you will not really need to change much of anything between the levels this time. Depending on what levels you coach, sometimes we have instances where the progression of a drill that we're doing does not use the exact same equipment. So like here, right here with this octagon, all 3 levels will be able to do that station without needing to change the octagon for a different piece of equipment. But sometimes if it's a bit too easy for an advanced class or an intermediate class, the piece of equipment will change or it will go away entirely. And I will always try and specify that in the videos, in the explanation, and as much as I can. That way you don't feel like you messed up or you did something wrong. Just be sure to follow what your specific class is doing, because sometimes there are instances where the equipment won't get put back, and that's totally okay. Things happen. So if a different class, like an intermediate class, had a piece of equipment that a beginner doesn't need, and you see that that piece of equipment is there but what you were supposed to have isn't there, chances are it's either going to be somewhere around this area or they went ahead and put it back, which is totally fine. So just quickly let your kids know that you have to change some stuff around really fast or grab a piece of equipment if it did happen to get put away, and then go ahead and get started. So just make sure that you look at what's going on before you start. That way if you do have to get something or have to switch something up, you don't have to do it like in the middle of talking and then you are confused and then they're confused. But we're gonna get started. So we'll start on the P bars since that will be easiest, which will be over here. They will be this height since the kids are pretty short over here. There we go. That way it's a little bit easier for them to get up into a chin up also, rather than having to jump and get up there and potentially not being able to hold it. So right up there, beginners will just hold a chin up. So trying to hold here as long as they can. Legs straight is harder. In a ball, you don't necessarily elongate as much, so it might be a little bit easier for them to hold a tuck. Kind of depends on the kid, but 3 to 5 seconds. If they can hold longer, awesome, great. Don't overdo it and have them hang there the whole time, but as long as they can. Then intermediate will do chin up, hold, tuck up. So they're going to hold their chin up, and instead of just hanging there, they will tuck their legs up and they will extend their legs down. So they're going to try and bring their knees up to their belly button and back down while they're hanging in their chin up. Again, anywhere from 2 to 5 is probably going to be your range that they're able to do, but if they can do more, awesome. Obviously encourage them not to overdo it and make themselves so tired that they can only do 1 try and then they're not able to really get much out of that station the rest of the time. Then for advanced, there's nothing on that bar. Their strength in that region is pretty okay for where we'd like them to be. So we don't have to worry about that this time, unless you want to, or you'd like to fill some time. If you have it, you can do that. Then everyone will be doing the same thing with this dowel bar, just because it's a good skill to have across the levels. So you're going to wrist shift. This one is a little bit skinnier than the actual bar, which is good because they can get their entire hand around it and really feel what has to happen for them to shift. So it's kind of up to you. I kind of left it up to everybody when we've done this before. If you want to teach them to go arms straight and shift at different times and then come back, or you can just go forward and backward. But if you do it alternating, their hands actually move around the bar. And I know it looks like they're going the same direction, but if you pull and pull and pull and pull your hands rather than push them forwards, it's a little bit different. So pushing would be for front skills, and that's what you want to teach him. And then pulling backwards is for back skills. So you can also do these also. So really whatever you feel will get the most out of it for their skill set, or do all three. That's totally fine also. There's no specific number, so you may pick a number and kind of have them rotate through all those different kinds, or just pick one of the 3 or 2 and have them do as many numbers as you'd like of that. That will be the same again across all 3 levels. On the small octagon right here, they're going to do, in beginner, they're going to do a squat on progression, and intermediate, they're going to do a squat on progression also. So the same drill, but a different way of doing it. So they're going to start and bring their knees in, and then step 1 foot onto the bar at a time in beginner. So they're going to go, I will show you with 1 foot. They're going to go this way and start here in a push-up. They will then bring their knees in and try and step 1 foot, then the other foot, then jump off. So that's beginner. When you do intermediate, their feet will stay together. So instead of stepping 1 foot on then the other, they will have to kind of sit back and roll their feet through to be able to put them on there. It is able to be done, but it may be a little complicated this first time if they haven't really done gymnastics over their break, or they weren't really good at this station to begin with. So you may have to help them a little bit. You may give them the option to do the 1 step and then the other step like beginners doing, but since we are working towards keeping their feet together and going on at the same time, I would much rather you spot them if need be than have them do the easier part the entire time. Now starting with it and then maybe helping them towards the end, or telling them, okay, you've done that a couple times, now try your feet together, that's fine too, but make sure they're not doing the easier station the whole time, because then they're not really trying to do what's actually there, and they're not really going to get much further with it once they master that part. And then advanced will do pike ups with it. They've done those before. Hands will go on the bar, so you're just sticking your booty in the air with your legs straight and going back down. They're not putting their feet on the bar or anything, just trying to get leaned over and in a pike so they get more comfortable leaning for bigger casts and things like that. We are then going to go over to this green bungee that's behind me, fairly simple. They are going to do glides with their feet in the bungee. And I believe, yep, that's the same for everybody. So I won't be able to hold myself up in there because the bungee's a little small. But you start your feet on the ground, your hands on the bar. They will put their feet in the front part. A lot of the times last we did this, I saw people sitting in it, and that's not right. You want both there, so like this. So pretend both of my feet are in here, and they'll push it out and swing, and they'll just push it out and swing. So both feet will be tucked up in the front of this, so it's stopped rather than legs through it. And they'll swing as many times as they can, kind of up to their own strength and up to you. This bar back here behind this one, so this one right here. And like I said, everyone will be doing that green bungee station. It doesn't change. Again, just warming back up to the glide and the skill itself, especially for the upper level classes. That bar that I just pointed to behind us right here, beginner will do a spotted cast shape hold, so 5 seconds, but more if physically ready. If 5 seconds is too easy, you can have them hold longer. I like to keep a hand on their shoulder to help them remember not to push back up against me, because you want to stay leaned over in a cast, and then use my other hand to kind of hold by their knees and their thighs because they are pretty small, so it's a little bit easier. But you may do hand under the like hips, belly region, and then knees, quads region, so they get really hollow. Since you are holding them, really make sure that they're able to do the right shape since you are holding them. Put them exactly how it's supposed to look, flat back from shoulders to feet in a nice round shape, feet pointed, legs together, arms straight, all that fun stuff. And even though it might be kind of boring, you know, the faster that they can get that with you, the more comfortable they'll be able to do that kind of shape by themselves. On that station for beginner, oh no, sorry, we just did that. For intermediate, they are going to do, let's see, 3 casts in a row spotted. So you're going to hold for 3 seconds. So going back to that progression you just did, instead of holding your cast shape and coming down and just that being it, they're going to cast, you're going to hold for 3 seconds. So you're going to want to catch them up here then hold it for 3 seconds, and then let them come back down, and they're gonna try and go right again and catch them. They're gonna try and go right again for a third time. If they cannot quite go super fast in a row, that's totally fine. But try and make sure that they understand, like, as soon as you come back to the bar, you gotta kick and go again. That way you can kind of get that in a row in their head also. And then advanced, they're going to do spotted front hip circles. Again, if you'd like to take that progression back a notch, so you don't have to spot near as much, and put the, I guess, more so skill in the hands of them, and have them try a couple times first before you spot, that's totally okay too. But that will be totally up to you. Then going to this far bar over here, I'm going to say what they are and then demonstrate. So beginner will do a hop. They're going to start in a full squat on the box, holding onto the bar, jump through their legs, and push back to a stand. Their hands stay on the bar. So this is drilling the very first part of their glide, which is their jump to the bar and getting their butt up so they can swing forward. Then intermediate will do start in a full squat on the box, holding onto the bar, jump up to their front support. So they're going to try and jump up and keep their arms totally straight. Again, I will demonstrate here in a second. And then for advanced, doesn't need a demonstration, very self-explanatory, same thing, start in a full squat on the box, jump to your front support, and then cast back hip circles. So when we go over that way, you're going to go here. So beginner will start down on the box, okay, and then they will jump back away from the box. If this is too far, you can put it underneath. That way when they jump back, it's not near as far and they don't have to clear so much. When they're in intermediate, they will start on the box. My feet will stay down, but they will jump up, and you'll jump and hold front support with your arms straight, and then from there, advanced will jump up, get ready to cast, and then back hip circle. Very self-explanatory. And then last but not least, our last two stations are this way. They're going to be holding a push-up on the foam roller, so they have to be a little more stable. And then we will be using this one back here, which I will move. So everybody here will go like so. Feel free to change and go this way if you want to, but I do like to keep the two stations separate in the squares. That way they don't ever get too close to each other, and you're able to see everybody a little bit more easily if they're all right here in front of you rather than stuck over there in that little area. Let's see, cash shape. Okay, so everybody's doing the same thing, which makes it easy. So they're just going to hold their cash shape here. So their hands will be on the foam roller. They can have their thumbs over it like this, or their thumbs like this. This will be a little more harder than this. So kind of give them the option, and they're just going to hold it and try as best they can. If you want to, you can make it a little harder and have them lean. Okay, but really get tall and flat. None of this. None of this. Okay, you should be a flat line from shoulders to feet. No dipping and no mountains. So no bananas and no mountains. Flat line. Same thing, as long as they can. If it starts to get sloppy, tell them to come down and take a break. Last. Same thing over here. Okay. So for beginner, this will be the trapezoid mat. But they're going to use, the bar will be out here. They're going to start in a straddle, and they're going to hop their feet up onto the trapezoid and back down. Intermediate will do the same thing, except they will kick their feet up in the air with their feet together. So they will go, and then they will try and hop their feet up and come back down. And then advanced will come up to the box, and instead of hopping their feet, they're going to try and kick up into a handstand on this bar and hold it as long as